Hi, my name's Lizzie. I'm in Bristol in my design studio, and today I'm going to do a creative upcycle. I am going to work with a vintage tea dress that's quite frumpy. It's lovely fabric, but it's not a very contemporary shape, and I'm going to turn it into a two-piece which you can wear as separates or together. The first thing I need to do is separate the top from the skirt of this dress. So I can see that I've got a seam here. There's a lot of pleating on one side and there's a bit of elastic on there. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut the seam away, which is much quicker. So I'm going to turn the seam to the side and I'm going to take my fabric scissors and I'm just going to work my way around this seam, cutting away all of the stitching and the existing elastic. I think once we turn this into a two-piece, it's just going to be perfect for going to the beach, dressing up in summer, going to little parties, that kind of thing. Once I cut these in half, obviously I'm going to be left with the original skirt and top, so we don't need that now. That's what we've taken away. This was pleated, so once you take it apart, it's going to be a much bigger, much wider than it was originally. And we've got the top, which is now going to be like a little really sweet blouse. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hem up the blouse into a little crop top. So as I've cut through that, I've now found that the centre front is stitched together, so I am going to need my unpicker. I'm just going to open this up slightly here, just about an inch, and you don't have to do this, you could keep it sealed shut, but I want to give it the feeling that it is a separate that opens at the front. I'm going to press this up now, ready for hemming. So I'm just going over to my steam iron, and all I'm going to do is just turn it once and then twice, so I've got a neat hem. Just using a bit of steam, I'm just going to go all the way around like that. Don't worry if your cut line's a little bit jagged, because it's all going to get hidden into the hem anyway, so try and cut it as neatly as you can, but it doesn't really matter if it's slightly uneven, as long as you're keeping it straight. That's the main thing. Those might start unraveling a little bit now we've unpicked it, so just keep a little extra eye when you're doing those sections and making sure that the front meets up nicely. Okay, so I'm going to come back to my workstation, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop some pins in around where I have hemmed it. This is a good opportunity to check that everything is nice and flat and even and straight as we pin. So just do it the same all the way around. I'm going to get on my sewing machine. I'm going to put it on a straight stitch. I think it needs, it doesn't need too much of a tight stitch, so I'm going to do it I'm going to do a fairly long stitch here, and I'm going to sew the machine hem up the bottom of my top here. A couple of backward stitches, and then off we go. So I'm sewing from the top and I'm feeling where the hem is underneath, and this will give us a better finish than sewing from the other way round. So this is a kind of dress that you could pick up in a vintage shop or in a charity shop, or you might even be able to find in one of your relatives' wardrobe. It's a really classic kind of dress, and you could do this with ones that fasten down the front or have a t-shirt neck. It's exactly the same process. And again, just snip off those loose threads. So I'm just taking off any last loose threads. That's our top sorted. I'm just going to leave that to the side. Now onto our skirt. What I've done is I've cut a piece of elastic to the width of the skirt that I want. So you can just take the elastic, put it around your own waist, and cut it to make sure it's the right measurement. So as you see, the waistband is considerably shorter than the main piece of the skirt. So what we're going to actually do is create some pleating in, so it's going to sit like this. First thing to do is to sew our piece of elastic into a loop. Again, I'm just going to do this on a straight stitch. So I'm just sewing the two ends together, and I'm now going to turn the machine onto the zigzag. What we're going to do really simply is fold the fabric over the elastic and stitch around with a zigzag, and as we move round we're going to move the gathers to the back that we've already sewn. So I'm just going to slip it under, elastic is now on the inside, a sort of medium width zigzag setting. I'm just going to go backwards just to anchor it in, and I'm coming round the front here. So as I move round I'm just keeping the elastic moving. Each time I move round a little bit further I'm moving the bit that I've gathered away, and at the moment it still looks really loose, but as we start to get round we'll start to see those gathers building up and we'll start to see the shape of the skirt coming together. So the wider the skirt is in ratio to your waistband, the more gathered it will be at the end. Last few inches just to close it off, and sewing back over where we started sewing from. Just a little back tack to keep it tight. Take it off, cut those threads. And then what we're going to find, you'll find that the gathers are quite uneven at this point. You're going to have a bit where they're really dense and a bit where they're not there at all. So just pull the elastic out a few times and your gathers will find their natural way. So this is our new restyled skirt. If you wanted to, you could make it much shorter, you could make it into like a little puff ball, but I really like this kind of midi length. So I'm going to just put the outfit together now. I'm going to borrow Doris, my mannequin. Let me get her out. So there it is, nice gathers. And then I'm just going to add the top, nice little two-piece. And like I say, you can wear these separately or you can style them together, but a much, much more contemporary shape than the dress that we started off with. I think Doris looks rather lovely.